Hello, this is Jason at Body121Fitness. This is a video relating to interval training. What is it? There's a corresponding written article on the Body121Fitness website which you can read, which will probably be slightly more concise in comparison to this video, but I'll do my best. So, high intensity interval training. Basically, there was for some time a common belief that lower intensity, longer duration cardiovascular exercise was the most efficient method at burning fat or losing weight. Hence the fat burning setting you'll find on some cardio machines at the gym. But in recent years, studies have shown that high intensity interval training is much more effective in terms of the total amount of calories consumed, and over a given time frame, and also the benefit of interval training. HIIT, high intensity interval training, and interval training, one of the same things. So if I say HIIT or just interval training, I'm talking about the same thing. So basically, one of the benefits of high intensity interval training is it also leads to stronger levels of overall cardiovascular and muscular fitness, which is a good thing, because it's your base level of muscular and cardiovascular fitness that caters for your daily activities. And the stronger your muscular and cardiovascular fitness levels, the easier you'll find your physical daily activities, and the more energy you'll have. So what is actually interval training? Interval training is basically where you work at two different levels, two different effort levels. One whilst performing one exercise. One effort level is your work level. The other effort level is known as your recovery level. So there's two levels that you work at: your work level and your recovery level. This relates to your cardio workout. So it could be on the cross trainer, it could be on the bicycle, it could be on the recumbent bike, the one with the chair, it could be on the rowing machine, it could be on the running machine, it could be outdoors, you could be doing work recovery, you could be doing sprints and then jogs, sprints and then jogs. But that's what it applies to. Your work level or your recovery level, they're the two aspects of interval training. Let's use one of my favourites is the cross trainer. I like the cross trainer because, like the rowing machine, it utilises approximately 75% of the muscles in the body when doing the exercise. So it's a good workout. You get a chance to, if you do it correctly, and interval training will hopefully allow you to do that, you want to overload the muscles as you do your cardio exercise so that you get some sort of development. I mean, obviously it will be an overload that takes place over a period of 10 or 15 minutes. But nevertheless, you want to aim to overload the muscles, because that will basically complement your resistance training, your weight training. If you get on the cardiovascular machines and you do the cardio too light, not enough resistance, then what you're doing is you will, it depends on, what level of fuel you have in your body, but ultimately you'll lose muscle mass. You need to challenge the muscles that you're working on the cardio machine of your choice, in order to maintain them and overload them and get them to positively adapt, which is sort of develop. which many people don't do. So the cross trainer is a great machine because you can put the resistance right up on many of the new ones and many of the old ones up to level 25, which is quite hard. And ideally, the actual older cross trainers are better than the new ones, in my opinion, because the older cross trainers have a better balance between upper and lower body resistance. On the new machines, it seems that the upper body part of the cross trainer is arms and legs at the same time, like this. The upper body doesn't seem to be hard enough, but the older ones, as you put the resistance up, you really feel it in the arms, and that's what you want. You want to be working both upper and lower equally. And because the cross trainer can go up to level 25 resistance, you know, it's incredibly challenging, and as such, a great you know, level to set as your work level, whatever your fitness capability is, personally to you. So you set a work level, you set a recovery level. What I've found as a rule of thumb is there's roughly about 3 levels in between your work and your recovery on the cross trainer, for example. I also noticed it's similar on the bike. So your work level should be, and again, you can vary the length of time that you stay at the work level. You can vary the length of time you stay at the recovery level. Obviously, the longer you're at the work level, the harder it is. The shorter you're at the recovery level, the harder it is. The shorter you're at the work level, the easier it is. The longer you're at the recovery level, the easier it is. So you just need to play with it. But if you just start with a minute work, 2 minutes recovery, if you've never done it before, that's a good place to start. This is on the cross trainer. If you're going to be doing running, and the idea is that you really want the work level to be challenging as much as possible. So basically, you want to just be able to complete your allocated time at the work level. So if you've set your work level at 1 minute and you go up on the cross trainer, put the resistance up to whatever level that equates to, and then you work for 1 minute. But at the end of the 1 minute, you're not really struggling. You've got it set too easy. You want to really find that work level a challenge. The more challenging you can find it, you know, the better it will be for you. Saying that, in terms of safety, this is if you're reasonably fit already. If you've never exercised, don't go to the gym and get on the cross trainer or any cardio machine and you know, work too hard. What you should do is speak to a member of staff, get them to give you some advice in terms of what work level you should work to. You know, there is something called the rate of perceived exertion, which is basically your interpretation of how hard you're finding it. And I'll put a link at the bottom of this video to a chart of the rate of perceived exertion. And if you're new to exercise, you really should be not going above a 7. It's 1 to 10. You shouldn't go above 7. Basically, or roughly about 65% maximum heart rate. Maybe 70, but 65. So, set your work level at something which is challenging, and then when you come back down to your recovery level, so for 2 minutes, the idea is that when you first come back down to the recovery level, that basically it doesn't feel very much easier. But by the time you've finished your 2 minutes there, you've got your composure back enough that you feel ready to attack that work level again for 1 minute. Now, if you're on the running machine, for example, you might want to do sprints, you know, where you basically put the speed up as fast as you can run safely. And to sprint for a minute, you're not going to be able to do. So you need to vary the the times relative to, you know, what's achievable for you. Not many people can sprint full out for a minute. You know, that's a 400-meter run, and they don't sprint. So basically, you probably want to do a sprint for 10 seconds, and then come down and do a jog try and sprint for 20 seconds, which is tough, and then have you know, maybe a 40-second recovery. If you're fit, sprint for 20 seconds, have a 10-second recovery. Back up, sprint for 20 seconds, have a 10-second recovery. Obviously, the longer the recovery, the less intensive the exercise overall, the interval overall. The shorter the recovery, the more intensive the interval overall. And similarly with the work level, as I said, the longer you have your work level, the more intensive the interval will be. The shorter you have your work level, the less intensive the interval will be. And the idea is that when you do 1 minute, going back to the example, if you do 1 minute at your work level, and then you go 2 minutes at your recovery level, that's classed as one interval. If you can manage to do 5 intervals, that's 15 minutes work, not including your warm-up, say 3 to 5 minutes, just gradually warming the body up, getting the heart rate up slowly before you start, and also your cool down. You know, which again, 3 to 5 minutes, so that you're composed, your heart rates come back to a lower rate, you can breathe normally, then you can dismount the machine. But 5 intervals, that's challenging. 15 minutes, that would be five work periods and 5 rest periods. That's a lot. Try 3 to begin with. Work up to 5. It's a very good way to train because it really challenges your cardiovascular and muscular fitness. Depending on whatever your weakest is, will be the thing that you are limited by. It's quite common for people to have strong imbalances. If you've never done any exercise, then you'll probably be the same. Muscular fitness will be, you know, as weak as your cardiovascular. If you basically have been doing weight training for a while, what people tend to do, the guys who do weights a lot and no cardio, what they're doing is they're creating a good, hopefully if they've got a balanced workout, they're creating a good muscular fitness imbalance across the body. But because they do no cardio at all, their cardiovascular is in no way in sync. And in fact, having a lot of muscle and then doing resistance exercises is quite stressful on the heart. Particularly if it goes too far out of sync. So what you'll find is you may get on and try an interval train and find that you really struggle because you can't breathe. That's your cardiovascular fitness. Even though you've got the muscular strength or fitness to work harder, you can't, because literally you can't get your breath. And that's where your cardiovascular fitness is out of sync with your muscular fitness. So if that's the case, then you just work to your weakest point, which is your cardiovascular fitness in that case, and very quickly that will rise to match your muscular fitness. And when that happens, then you can work both equally. So one of the benefits of high intensity interval training is, you know, you're working in quite intensive realms for short periods of time, like dynamically, a little taste of it. So you acclimatise the body, you acclimatise your fitness, both muscular and cardiovascular, in small doses to highly intensive exercise, which is manageable. And it gives you, it will give you overall a much stronger fitness level, as opposed to doing continual fat burn programs, which are lower intensity, just steady steady heart rate, steady workout. And so, as I say, that's one of the major benefits. The thing that's relative to intensity in terms of your workout, there's something called post-exercise oxygen consumption. And if one of your goals is to lose weight or get cut or get toned, basically, if you can maintain a certain intensity in your workout, ideally is 70% and upwards, which requires some level of fitness, then what you'll have is you create a deficit. You use oxygen, if you like, that you don't have. And basically the body then will try and recover that even after you've stopped training. And the common name for it's called afterburn. So the higher intensity that you can safely manage in your workout session, the higher that intensity means that you will have a knock-on effect even when you stop training, where your body will be burning calories. And that can go on for up to 48 hours. High intensity interval training allows you to get that intensity, and therefore benefit from the afterburn effect. The other thing about high intensity interval training is, because when you crank it up for your minute work, that's really the opportunity where you're overloading the muscle as well, hopefully, which complements your weight work individually, separately. Ideally, when you get off when you finish your high intensity interval training, you want to feel muscularly pumped. That's based on your cardiovascular fitness allowing that. If it doesn't allow you to work your muscles to the point that you feel pumped when you get off, that's just because your cardiovascular isn't at that level yet. But it will come up quickly, and then your goal is to get off having had a good cardiovascular overload and muscular overload over the duration as a cumulative effect of training, say for 10 to 15 minutes. And you won't be able to achieve that as well by doing a longer duration, steady paced fat burn type of exercise. So one thing to bear in mind, in relation to high intensity training, and also high intensity interval training, and also long duration cardiovascular exercise, fat burning, continual duration, is basically the body. You should focus on doing this for a short period of time, because as a training stimulus, which is what it is, the body will only react positively to it for a short period of time. And the way your cardiovascular fitness sort of works is, if you overload yourself, challenge, using a specific training stimulus, for example interval training, and then you rest and eat and sleep and drink water, then you'll basically get a positive adaptation. That's in your muscular fitness and your cardiovascular fitness, a positive adaptation. So you'll get some progress. You'll become fitter and stronger. If you maintain that stimulus and you don't change it, then your body's reaction to it, instead of getting a positive adaptation, it basically flattens off and plateaus, and you'll no longer get a development. So what's important is that you change your training stimulus. So if you do, for example, interval training for 3 weeks, then you could try 3 weeks of continuous, so you might do interval training for 3 weeks, and then you might come in, and on a day when you're going to do some cardio, you just might do a really long row, 10,000 meters, takes 45 minutes. Nice and slow. Again, you won't have done it, so you'll get a really, if you start doing a few longer duration cardio exercises, then you'll get a nice positive adaptation to that, because it's a completely different training stimulus. And that's the point I'm trying to make, that you need to change your training stimulus regularly, say every 3 weeks. And that's critically important for your weight training as well, in terms of developing your lean mass, your muscular fitness across the body. So that's pretty much interval training. As I say, what I will do is I will actually put a link below the video to the article on the website, because the article on the website is written, to be honest, more concisely and slightly better than I've explained it. And you've got the RPE chart as well, so you can get some idea of what it means to be working at a rate of perceived exertion of 9, what it means to be working at a rate of perceived exertion of 8 or 7 or 6 or 5, etc. So you know what you should be doing, how hard you should be working. So the benefits of HIIT, high intensity interval training, are it takes less time. It's obviously more intense. You work harder, but for a shorter period. It burns more calories than continual training, if that's one of your goals. And because the high intensity part is short bursts, it's manageable, it's very achievable, and it has much greater benefits in terms of general development of your cardiovascular and muscular fitness. So why not give it a go today? Next time you're in the gym, try it out. What I would say, in terms of safety, although it's not that common, generally with any form of exercise, if at any point you start to feel dizzy or nauseous, stop training immediately and do not continue to train. Get some water, slowly walk around or sit down if need be. Fresh air is also a good idea until you feel you've recovered your composure. Once recovered, again, do not continue to train that session. If you've started to feel dizzy or nauseous, it can be, there are many reasons that can happen. Then you need to end that session for that day. Don't think, oh, I feel better now, I'll carry on. That's a mistake, because the next time that you won't have recovered, in all likelihood you won't, you just feel better. But if you carry on, then the effects will be much harder to control the next time round. So it's much safer to, if you feel dizziness or nausea, it's much safer to stop training, because people are tempted to carry on once they feel a bit better, and you should definitely not do that. A good idea would be to talk to a personal trainer if you do feel nauseous or dizzy, because what they can do is carefully review everything that you've been doing, and they may be able to identify some contributory factor leading up to the event, your dizziness or nausea. Typical causes, by the way, things that will can be sort of contribute to feeling that way, is if you're not breathing properly, particularly on your resistance. If you hold your breath as you do your resistance training, your weight training, which is a common thing that people who haven't trained before do, you'll start to feel dizzy and sick quite reasonably quickly. Also, doing too much too soon when you're unfit. If you basically, as I pointed out with the high intensity interval training, if you come on and try and do level 25 on the cross trainer out of the gate, and you haven't exercised before, number one, it's dangerous, because your heart rate's going to go through the roof. But what will happen is you'll have a physiological reaction to it, and your body will go into shock, and that is dizziness, feeling sick, and that's because you've worked too hard based on what your capabilities are. So it's, you know, exercise should be challenging, but definitely achievable. Not, you know, you need to keep control of what you're doing. Working too hard for too long on an empty stomach, again, that can lead to, you know, feeling faint, or just too little sleep. If you've had no sleep and you go to the gym, try and train hard, again, that's the sort of thing that could lead to, you know, dizziness, nausea, feeling faint. So that's the end of the interval training video. It does correspond to a written article on the Body121 website, and if you've got any questions or comments, you're welcome to leave them. I'll try and get back to you. Obviously, Body121 Fitness supplies a range of services: online, home, gym, and outdoor-based PT sessions. Obviously, all the details are on the website. There are many other articles that are aimed to either encourage you to start exercising, encourage you to use a personal trainer, and that's said hand on heart, not to necessarily use our services, but basically just to use a trainer. It's a no-brainer in terms of cost versus reward. The information that you'll learn and the results you will get, but particularly what you'll learn through the process, will set you up for the rest of your life, and then you won't be wasting any more time. You'll be training effectively and safely, and it's just so common that people will train for years without using a trainer, and they will have so much wasted effort. Because they aren't training effectively. There is an article called Please Change Your Training Stimulus. There's an article called Advanced Resistance Training Methods. And there's an article called The 4 Golden Rules of Resistance Training. There's also an article called Opposite Movements, a Great Way to Resistance Train. These are all articles, and there's one called Why Should I Exercise? What's in it for me? These are all, you know, supposed to be really informative and, you know, just good tips and ideas and guidance that will either, hopefully, as I say, encourage you to start exercising, or make sure that you're getting the most out of the effort that you're putting in. So that's it. So thanks for watching the video. I'll see you again.